Watch this. This reportedly is the exact moment caught on Baghdad airport CCTV footage of when the U.S. airstrike killed two men, Qassem Soleimani and Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis. Now, the president, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and the State Department all confirmed that Soleimani, the head of the Iranian RIGC Quds Force, and al-Muhandis were partly in Baghdad to finalize plans on an imminent attack on both American forces in both Syria and in Lebanon. But is this where the story should start? No. Let's roll the clock back. 1 week before, a rocket attack. This rocket struck an Iraqi military base, killing a U.S. military contractor. 2 days after that, thousands of rioters suddenly just got it in their head to storm the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. Hello, 1979. Now look at the damage they did and tell me this doesn't invoke the memories of someplace else. Yes, that's right, Benghazi. And if the administration of the Obamas were still in power, we'd probably have another Benghazi-style tragedy that we'd all be mourning right now and arguing that it really wasn't due to some YouTube pinhead. But now, there's a new sheriff in town. That's where I wore my Western gear. The embassy staff didn't have to send frantic phone calls begging for support as they did in Benghazi. A small group of CIA contractors didn't have to embark on a suicide mission to try to save the day because the Trump administration immediately deployed 200 additional Marines to the embassy. He put the U.S. Army 82nd Airborne Immediate Response Force on standby. Immediate Response Force? Wow, I wish we had one of those when Benghazi happened. Oh, we did. He also ordered Apache helicopters to provide air support. This is what Americans expect from an American commander-in-chief, whose primary job, above all others, is to protect American lives. This is what was denied to Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, Glenn Doherty, and Tyron Woods. Now, what do all of those, bombings and attacks and riots, what do they all have in common? Well, the rocket attack that killed the American contractor, the embassy riot in Baghdad, and yes, even the attack in Benghazi, all orchestrated by one of the guys that we just blew up last Tuesday. His name, Qassem Soleimani. Now, the reaction has been, quite entertaining to watch. It's been astounding. Trump is reckless, running around half-cocked. He's just trying to take people's mind off the impeachment. It's World War III. They're starting a draft, Nancy Pelosi immediately forgot about the impeachment. She issued this statement saying, quote, American leaders' highest priority is to protect American lives and interests. Sorry, my teeth slipped. But we cannot put the lives of American service members, diplomats, and others further at risk by engaging in provocative and disproportionate actions. Wow. Provocative and disproportionate. So everybody on the U.S. side at the Benghazi embassy, they were murdered. That's pretty provocative, don't you think? Was the death of the military contractor from the U.S. a couple of weeks ago, was that provocative, or was it kind of like, What about the storming and burning of the U.S. embassy in Baghdad? How about the imminent attacks in both Syria and Lebanon, which the chairman of the Joint Chiefs said included U.S. military, diplomatic, and economic personnel? Provocative? Now, the man who wants to take President Trump's job issued his own statement. Joe Biden said, President Trump just tossed a stick of dynamite into a tinderbox. I fear the administration has not demonstrated any turn to discipline or long-term vision necessary. Okay. Well, it's time for the blue pill, Joe, and let me re-explain to you how your boss handled Iran. Your boss, Barack Obama, gave Iran $1.7 billion, in unmarked bills, and relieved them of the sanctions that were bringing the Iranian terrorist regime to their knees. You want to know how grateful our new Iranian friends were for all of that? Yeah, they repaid us like this. I don't know if you remember. Because of the Obama administration policies, it made us a target, and they captured our sailors. And there was no response. I mean, we're not going to respond. Just don't look at it, right? It's no wonder they thought they could shoot down one of our drones a few months ago and get away with it. And then they pressed on, bombing the oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz and got away with it. And then later bombing Saudi Arabia's oil infrastructure and got away with it. It culminated a couple of weeks ago. I don't know about you, but enough is enough, do you think? We can no longer be the target that Barack Obama turned us into. I don't want war, but I am also not willing to be another country's doormat. Now let's look at the two men that were killed last week that we all should have so much sympathy for. Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis. He's the man meeting with Soleimani at the airport, and we're not hearing much about him in the media, which is strange because he's very accomplished. He was the head of the Shiite militias that have been fully incorporated into the Iraqi armed forces. Some of his other credentials, he was the head of Hezbollah in Iraq. Who doesn't love Hezbollah? He was listed as a U.S. designated terrorist. He was convicted and sentenced to death in absentia for the attacks on the U.S. and the French embassies in Kuwait. That killed a handful of people. Sounds like a nice guy. He worked with the Iranian IRGC. He fled to Iran after the Kuwait embassy bombings. He would later travel back to Iraq after Obama withdrew our troops. And that's where he became the head of Hezbollah. So in summation, he's a terrorist who leads one of the largest terrorist militias in Iraq. And he gets his order from the mullahs in Iran. His militia was behind the attack that killed the U.S. military contractor. I'm sorry we had to kill you. Not really sorry in the traditional sense, more of a sorry like, hey, let's go have a drink. He made his bed, and now he'll forever lie in it. After knowing all of this, how was his death anything but justified? Hollywood, hang on. The second man killed in the attack is the one getting all the attention, and rightfully so. This guy was a monster. Soleimani is the equivalent of a terrorist rock star. They call him the selfie general because he and his followers post pictures of him everywhere he goes. He posted them directly to his Instagram account. There are Americans that are too dangerous to have an Instagram account, I hear. But he had one? Yeah, and he'd post pictures of himself, whether he was fighting in Syria, Iraq, or wherever he was sowing carnage and terror that given day. Hey, Instagram is there for all of us. Well, not all of us, but apparently this guy and liberals. His most recent was this little gem, standing in front of an exploding White House. Now, I don't know about you. Can you imagine bin Laden or al-Baghdadi maintaining an Instagram account? Because they are exactly the equivalent here. Soleimani is Osama bin Laden and al-Baghdadi if the two of them had access to nation-state resources. He was getting like $1 billion a month to spread around terror. He's the head of the IRGC Quds force. That means Jerusalem. They're the ones that are going to, spread all the bloodshed over in Israel. Their specific mission is to employ clandestine and asymmetrical warfare to destroy Israel and seize Jerusalem. Well, that's his job, but terror is just his tool. Between 2005 and 2007, he was responsible for the deaths of an estimated 600 U.S. troops in Iraq. He was the mastermind behind the attempted assassination of the Saudi ambassador here in America. The attack was scheduled to happen at the Watergate Hotel in D.C. It would have killed more than 100 innocent people. Multiple foreign Iranian intelligence officers told the author, Middle East expert, and executive director for the Foundation for Democracy in Iran, Kenneth Timberman, that Soleimani was directly involved in the Benghazi attack, providing the planning, the financing, and the direction. Wait, now this whole time I thought it was a movie on YouTube. As I pointed out back in 2012, no. The consulate in Benghazi was ground zero for the arms pipeline flowing into Syrian rebel hands. Well, he wanted to shut that down, and so he did. Tracking the death, destruction, and chaos in the Middle East is like reading Soleimani's personal biography. He oversaw the battle plans in Lebanon during the 2006 Israeli-Hezbollah war. His Quds force is present in Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen, pretty much any place that's on fire in the Middle East. And it's on fire because, really, him. Back in 2015, I sent 2 of my researchers out to find out what was going on with ISIS in Iraq. You might remember it. One of the stories they came back with was a story about this family. They were Sunnis that had recently been attacked by Soleimani's militias. See, they weren't just against ISIS. No, they wanted something for themselves. Their village was destroyed. The mom had been executed directly in front of them. And that little boy who's lying down in the bed, when we got to him, he was lying in the bed because he still hadn't fully recovered. He was tortured while his father and sister were forced to watch. Soleimani's thugs used a power tool to drill holes through his leg. This is how sick this guy is. This is who he is. Bye-bye. Obama gave him a free pass, and he became so cocky that he actually thought he could kill Americans, attack a U.S. embassy in Iraq, and then show up a week later in Iraq at the airport like he was Frank frickin' Sinatra. He never thought there would be any kind of reprisal. But surprise, there was. This was not the rash and reckless act by President Trump. To the contrary, it was rash and reckless for the Obama administration to allow him to continue for as long as he did. And as per the Pentagon, if this attack wouldn't have happened, then Americans in both Lebanon and Syria were going to be victims of an imminent attack, end quote. I said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Soleimani was but one of the big 3 of the global terrorists. You got your standard Osama bin Laden line from Al-Qaeda. Then you got this beautiful model in between, the al-Baghdadi of ISIS. But now, this one, Soleimani, the terrorist regime in Iran. They're all dead, and you'd think we'd all be able to come together and support their deaths. But as usual, for those suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, our friends in Hollywood are not pleased. Oh, I'm so sad. Rose McGowan, who I don't even know who she is, apologized to Iran for killing a terrorist and actually said that we live in a terrorist regime. Boy, she's not sheltered. John Cusack said the attacks again on a terrorist was Trump in full fascist mode. Oh my gosh. May I just ask a question? When did Iran become everybody's favorite in Hollywood? I mean, it was a year ago that pictures were leaked from inside Iran of the public hanging of a man for violating their anti-gay laws. Remember what Ahmadinejad said when he came and spoke at Columbia University? We don't have a gay problem because we ain't got none of them gays in Iran. Right. The equivalent to their Secretary of State said it was their moral principle to kill gay people. Hollywood, when did you become so anti-LGBTQI? This is a country that beats and kills gays, also women, for having the audacity to dance and not wear their head coverings in public. Hollywood, when did you become so anti-women? Literally everything the left has been championing lately as front lines in their social justice war, Iran is in open defiant of. It is Iran. They're not worried about equal pay for women or wedding cakes for gay couples. They just kill them. Iran is a terrorist state, and Soleimani was their top agent. And just like when bin Laden and Baghdadi were killed, the world is now a better place. We can all sleep better. And if the Democrats want to lob accusations like reckless and unpredictable and rash around, maybe they should look back at some of the criticism of the Obama administration that gave Iran $1.7 billion in cash and free rein to spread terror all over the Middle East without a sliver of consequence. Obama created this mess. But there's good news. There's a new sheriff in town, because I think Sheriff Trump is going to clean it up.